How do you train your client managers on selling the sizzle versus giving advice away for free? It's one thing for us to have this conversation internally, and I'm not a client manager. Thomas isn't a client manager either. And we know not to do that. But Thomas and I aren't at the coalface talking to clients every single day. And so, and even if you are currently the only client manager in your firm, I'd assume in this Wize mentoring you want to grow. And so part of growing will mean you will have to hire additional client managers as well. So it's kind of essential no matter where you are. It's really, really important that you get in the right mindset of training client managers, even if you don't need to at this stage on selling the sizzle. So I'd love to hear Thomas, Kristy, anybody. I can give my own experience as well on how you do that, especially when you think that we're kind of handicapped in this industry because we're not natural salespeople. Thomas, maybe you can start us off. How have you gone about doing that with your client managers?
It's just starting from like the ground level. It's easy for an owner to want to know. I mean, I shouldn't say it's easy, but an owner such as ourselves, we know that we need to get a proposal and get paid for something before we do something, because if we don't, we're not going to put food on the table. So we're quite driven to make sure that we're getting paid for things. We're quite sensitive about that. But for our staff, it's a lot different. Whether a sale happens or not, they're going to get a paycheck. Okay, so there isn't really like this, I can't feed my kids if I don't get this tax return proposal accepted with this client. I can't just do it for free for them. So the drive is a lot different. And we have to create that drive in our companies. And it's created by being able to set targets. When we set a budget target, okay, we want to do two things. We obviously want to beat the performance of last year, but we also want to incorporate a bit of budget growth into there. And it's about explaining to the client managers that in meeting budget, it's more than just doing the existing work month to month, but we want to encourage you to be able to produce new business, okay? So in meeting your budget, there's a proportion of it that is existing fees and there are new fees, okay? So let's say your budget is something like 100,000 a month, okay? If 80,000 or 90,000 of that is existing fees from existing work that's scheduled, reminders have gone out, then there really isn't much, for a senior client manager to have to sell, to tell the person to bring their work in. But if there is 10 or 20,000 in new fees that they have to achieve, then it's about communicating that to them and translating it to, all right, it means that they have to get 2 or 3 new compliance clients a month. Okay, it's about breaking it down into targets so that they feel, first of all, they feel an urge. Okay, so I haven't even told them how they should be doing it yet, but just having them have that urge is really important. People can sell in whichever way fits their style. Okay, people, your style might be to bake people a cake, and that secures you the engagement. Then so be it. But people only go and do that if they feel the need to. Yeah. So when we create the need in our team to do so by hitting targets, that is one facet to it. The other facet to it is incentivizing it properly. So if we're achieving a $100,000 budget and we've planned in our P&L that translates to, say, a 35% EBIT, okay, 35% EBIT, and it's in our bonus system that anything over, say, 25% EBIT, a proportion of that goes to bonuses. So again, if there's actually a need, a drive to actually achieve sales, client managers would now start to think in terms of, I'm either leaving my bonus on the table or I'm going to grab it. Yeah. Okay. Now, when it actually comes to selling the sizzle and not giving it away for free, selling the sizzle and not the sausage is a philosophy that we have in Wize. We what we mean by this is that the client manager is not necessarily the most technical person in the team, okay? They've been off the tools for so long that they don't really get involved in processing the work. So what do you do with this type of employees? Their purpose now with the client is really to ask questions, okay? Asking questions, understanding the problems about their clients, and allowing the client to share with the client manager a lot more than the client manager is talking, okay? Where the key really here is it's part of the discovery. Having the client manager know that during this discovery process, it's about understanding as much as we can, okay? Seeking first to understand before being understood with this client, rather than just saying, okay, I heard you, this is what you need to do, okay? We want to have them smell the sausage, not give it to them to eat, all right? So the proposal hasn't been accepted yet. They can have it right after that.
So it comes, just to summarize, it comes from listening to the clients really well, understanding what they need, and then, yeah, selling the sizzle, not the sausage. It's everything else. It's the expectations. It's managing that. It's managing price, the value. What Chris said before, that make sure they actually value this. They see there's a need to this. They might be driven from fear, or you know, or it might be driven from the client. They might be asking you to do something. But yeah, look, that's helpful. Do you have any advice as well, Kristy, on this topic of training the client managers?
Yeah, look, I think really nailing down that menu of services, and even having an item on there for ad hoc. You know, your ad hoc hourly rate is far higher than your standard planned day-to-day rate. So, you know, you've already got that there ready to pull on. It might be, you know, your normally hourly rate is $60 or $70 for basic work, but if it's ad hoc, it's $150 because it's unplanned, it's unscheduled, and it generally has a shorter time frame on delivery. So if you've got that there, it makes that conversation less icky and awkward. And also remembering that you are delivering a service with businesses in a business-to-business relationship. There's an expectation to pay, and don't be afraid of the conversation, and just be really matter of fact of it. And then you can help empower your client managers to realize they don't need to be salespeople either. The information's there. It's all matter of fact. You've trained the clients ready for them. You've set them up in the proposal. These are what we feel will service you, but we're always open to reviewing, and where there might be additional services or less services, have that little conversation at the start and ensure that you live up to your word as well. Review the work regularly. Let them know that it's changed and you want to add on these services or take these off because they're not utilising them. And then you're, you know, continuing to build that muscle to not be afraid of the sales conversation.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great one to end on. I think the client managers really need to want to grow. If they're over, I can never get this right. If they don't have enough capacity to manage the work, they're not going to want to grow. You know what I mean? If they're going to want less work, not more. So you want them to want the work, and the best way in our experience is with the Fab Five, showing them the budget each month, each week, whenever, however frequently you look at that. Yeah, making sure they know the services that you have on offer. And like Kristy said, they don't have to be amazing salespeople. Don't tell them to something they're not, but they have to be able to listen. They have to be able to be present for those conversations to take place, and have the confidence. I think some of the things you were saying just then, Kristy, in the background there, they've got to have the confidence that they can deliver what they're selling to the client. Because I know from some recent conversations with firms, they haven't had the confidence that they could develop those services further, just because they're so snowed under, or it might range outside of the expertise, and they don't want to get pulled back into the business if they're already kind of out of it. That's great to finish on.